This is the Select Theater in Mineola, Texas. Small town in Texas, in East Texas. And this theater is the oldest continually operated theater in the state of Texas. It has been in business for 101 years. About 20 years ago, it became not only a movie theater, but also a performance theater. And on the weekdays, they still have movies that they show, and on the weekends, occasionally they have live performances.
They have Tuesdays, Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. That's what he said. And they show first run movies. They have events here, live performances like tonight they do, and it looks like a happening place. It really does.
Yeah.
I'm really impressed.
And we found out that the theater is also haunted. They still do play new and older classic movies here. In fact, we did a zombie pub crawl here in town a couple of weeks ago for Halloween, and at that time they were doing Rocky Horror here. This is the entrance to the museum here. Or not the museum, the theater. And right here is the ticket booth. Now inside the building, when you go inside, to your right is where the concession area is. And now let's go inside.
Yeah, he got it.
All right, so this is the Select Theater. It's Texas's oldest continuously operating movie theater, built in 1920 by R.T. and Mattie Hooks. Mattie Hooks named the theater the Select after the Select motion picture franchise. So that's who was providing all their movies and their movie distribution. In 1948, the building was remodeled extensively, brought the Art Deco style that you see outside now. The lobby was added, the ticket booth was added, the concession counter is actually original to the building and has been here. If you look in this picture right here,
Oh my.
there's the concession counter. The lady that's seated is Mattie Hooks.
Wow.
And the two gentlemen in the back are Truman Thomas and James Deere. Truman Thomas and James Deere worked here ever since they were 12 years old. Cleaning up, passing out programs, doing concessions, selling the popcorn, everything like that. If you look at our box office, how it's kind of an odd shape and the counter's a little lower, and you look in the picture, you see Miss Hooks is seated. Later in life, Miss Hooks was stricken with osteoporosis and arthritis, and she was wheelchair bound. So they designed this when they remodeled it so she could slide her wheelchair in there and work the ticket booth. In 1963 or 64, I can't remember the exact date, their son, who had taken over after Mr. Hooks Sr. passed away, he passed away. And he left in his will that the theater was to be sold. His wife could not operate it, the theater had to be sold. So Truman Thomas and James Deere bought the furnitures and fixtures from Kathleen Hooks, leased the building, and continued to run the Select Theater as it was intended.
Oh, okay. I thought they had outright bought it.
They did later.
Oh, okay.
But initially at first they bought the furnitures and fixtures and were leasing the building. In 1989, the Lake Country Playhouse, which is a nonprofit corporation, assumed operation of the theater when Mr. Thomas and Mr. Deere decided it was time to retire. Okay, so the Lake Country Playhouse moved in. We kept showing movies as fundraisers. We do 4 live plays a year, 4 band concerts a year, special events like tonight, and we show movies every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And here recently we started showing movies on Tuesdays too. The Lake Country Playhouse actually bought the building and completed the transaction in 2004. And so the Lake Country Playhouse wholly owns the Select Theater now. In the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, around that area, there were actually 3 theaters.
Like a drive-in?
There was a drive-in out on 80. Across the street over there where Security Finance was the Leroy Theater, also owned by the Hooks. But it was named for one of their friends whose name was Leroy, who was one of the top executives of the motion picture franchise at the time that they were working with. And the Roy was over there in the security finance building. And that's where the B movies, the westerns, things like that were shown.
Cool. So.
But if we come on in here to the auditorium was remodeled in 2001 to take it back to the 1948 original remodel.
It could seat like 800 people at first at one point. Right now you're down to like 250 or
We
something.
could never see 800. It was in the high 3s, low 4s.
I thought it was a whole lot more. Okay.
But you see the carpet, the walls,
Yeah.
the new invention of the day, chilled air.
Uh-huh.
That was the big thing for the Select, was we had chilled air. But if you come into the auditorium and look around, of course, when the Lake Country Playhouse took over, we had to add the stage, extended the stage for live plays. So everything, the vents and everything for the chilled air, they're still there. They're just behind the stage.
Wow.
Oh, okay. So that's where your seating loss went.
Yes, was
Yeah.
when we added the stage.
And they had a cry room too at one point.
That was over there.
Yeah, see? Nobody mentioned
Yeah.
that, but I knew that.
Yeah. This was the balcony over here. This is now our technical booth for our live plays and our stage operations. So from up there, we control the sound, the lights, everything like that from the tech booth for the live performances. In the center, of course, as with all motion picture theaters, is the projection booth. And if you want to come down this aisle, you can see the 3 original windows.
Oh yeah.
Back in the early 35 millimeter film days, it was reel to reel, and there were 2 projectors side by side.
Yeah, we saw those in the
Museum.
Yeah.
The projectionists would sit in the center window and watch the screen, and when they saw the little dots start flashing, that was his signal at a certain point to hit his foot switch. It would switch over to the other projector, so he could rewind the other one, put the next reel on, get it ready. In 2006 or 7, early 2000s, I remember that, the movie distributors decided they were no longer going to supply 35 millimeter prints, and it was all going to go digital. You either went digital or you went dark. And by the good people of Mineola, the Meredith Foundation, we were able to upgrade our projection system to fully digital. You see, we have full surround sound throughout the theater. It is clear digital projection, and we're still showing movies. As a matter of fact, the new movie coming up next week is Ghostbusters Afterlife, the new one. We have been selected as one of the few theaters to do the early preview of it. So
cool.
Thursday, the Thursday before opening night, because it actually opens nationwide next Friday, Thursday, we get to show it.
Oh, cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Over here on this other side is that small window right there is our business office. And then over here at the far right, where this open space was the cry room. There would have been a pane of glass in there. There is a speaker up there from the old projection system, so you could still hear the movie, see the movie, just like you were down here in the auditorium.
Wow.
I remember the good old days. Now, in Carlsbad, there's a little cry room on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had a balcony, and everybody wanted to sit in the balcony.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was a different time back then.
Yeah, and the balcony now has actually been split up. The front part of it, like I said, is our technical booth and our operations booth for the stage. Behind that, it's walled off, and there's a storage room back there, break room, storage room back there, but there's still 70 years of chewing gum on the floor.
Buddy.
There's still quite a bit of chewing gum on the floor.
Oh my goodness. Now these seats are...
These seats were brought in from the 2001 remodel. They were all cast. There's differing stories about where they came from. People say they were cast specifically for us. Some people say they came from Stephen F. Austin University when they did their remodel. But either way, they all have the monogrammed S at the end.
I
Every
noticed
one of them
that.
does.
That's why I was like, what? These are pretty neat.
But as you can see, we're getting set up for a performance, so we won't go on the stage or anything like that. But you can see As far as our live productions go, we have full lighting arrays, full sound system. So we're able to do the same level of production here that a normal live venue can do. And that's pretty much the Select.
That's beautiful, and I can hear the acoustics, so this is really good. It'd be great to perform here. You can hear it.
The walls were actually, when the walls were put up, there's the brick behind them. Then there is a row of chicken wire, plaster, but then this that's on the front, the outside, is something that was called Acoustiboard.
Okay.
So it absorbs sound, but it also helps the sound travel. So you notice there's no echo.
Yeah.
If there is an echo, there's a very small echo. But that's what the walls were made out of. In 1960, in the 60s, I want to say 62 or 63, there was a tornado that hit downtown Mineola.
Yeah, it's devastating.
Yeah. Well, it hit the Select, and they had a show going on, and Mr. Thomas or Deere, I can't remember which one, he was recounting the event. They had kids in here, and all of a sudden it went dark, and he realized, dear God, we're in the middle of a tornado. The roof was actually pulled off of the building.
Wow.
The building, nobody was hurt, nobody was injured, but the roof did come off of the building and landed over by Goodwill. Well, they went and picked the roof, got the roof back. And if you get up in the attic on the catwalk, you can actually see where it looks like they took a piece of wood and went, that fits. But yeah, the front of the building, the sign, the marquee, it was destroyed. The tower withstood the storm. But this building is still here.
Yeah.
In the 40s, when they did the initial remodel in 48, they actually found that between this wall and the next building, there is a sheet of iron between the two buildings.
Wow.
Because theaters were prone to catching on fire because the 35mm film made from nitrite, if you sneeze too hard, it would combust.
Oh, yeah.
And this building was deemed to be fireproof at that point
How
by
cool.
the fire marshal or the state board of insurance. Of course, today it doesn't meet those standards, but we did find out from when they re-engineered it, the building is designed, if it catches fire, to fall in on itself and not spread.
Okay.
But that's Select.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Yes, we have several non-corporeal residents that reside here. We have ghost investigations here, paranormal investigations here on a regular basis. We have one little girl that's here that likes to just watch, but she'll come out every now and then and she'll be mischievous, or she'll play with people, or she'll hide stuff. And her name's Abigail, but she doesn't like to go by Abigail, she likes to go by Abby. Our executive director is actually a sensitive, so he can actually hear them talking. He's across the street, you can even talk to him. But I've had personal experiences in here. I'd be sitting on stage preparing for a play, because not only am I the treasurer, I act, I direct, I do the technical work, I do everything.
Wow.
I've done the popcorn, I've cleaned up, you know. And I'd be sitting on stage here by myself, and from up in that projection booth, I heard somebody whistle. Well, that projection booth's locked. Only certain people can get up in that projection booth. And I went back to reading my script, going over my lines. Again, I heard somebody whistle. I knew I was the only one in the building because I locked the door when I came in. But then all of a sudden, behind me, I heard the whistle. The exact same whistle.
Wow.
We had a bachelorette party here. Some young ladies came down for a bachelorette party. Why they came to a theater to do a haunted bachelorette party, I'm still wondering. But we tell everybody, do not antagonize the ghosts. Do not antagonize them. Don't do anything that will upset them, because we like having them here. And we had some stuff set up on the stage, little motion activated, vibration activated lights and sensors and things like that. And one of the girls started antagonizing Abby. And Abby does not like to be antagonized. And she was telling her, we don't think you're real. If you're here, do something. You're not real. You're not real. You're not real.
Really?
And I was sitting in this seat, right here. And I was just leaning back, and I'm muttering to myself, don't do that. Don't do that. And all of a sudden, I heard a little girl's voice in my right ear say, watch this. And right after that happened, every light on that stage lit up.
Wow.
Oh.
And then we had 8 young ladies go running out the front door, screaming.
Oh, that's so cool. Oh.
We have our board president has acted with many people here. A couple of them have already passed on. One of them he knew very well, and they were good friends. And they did a show here. And shortly after that show, she moved away, moved to Arkansas. She was killed in a car wreck in Arkansas.
Oh.
Well, she's here.
Is she?
She's here.
She loved it here then, huh?
Yeah. And we've got a lot of people that are here. We know Mr. Deere is still here. Mr. Hooks is still here. So.
That's amazing.
But we'll go across the street and get George to tell you a little bit more, since George is the sensitive or the medium. Or
Richard told us that he had a story of personal experience in the theater.
Many.
Many?
Many.
Yeah? So I know there's the Abbey is in there.
Correct.
And well, just tell us what you experienced, because this is awesome.
Well, I'll just hit the highlights. I guess he gave you the tour.
Yes.
Mhm.
Did you see the dressing rooms in the back?
No, we didn't see those.
No.
Okay, there are dressing rooms in the back, and there's of course a men's and a women's. And we were doing an overnight ghost investigation in there one night, and it was myself and 4 or 5 other people in the women's side, and we were sitting there. Some of the band equipment was far in the corner, and we were just sitting there talking, and we had our equipment, and of course it was pitch black.
Yeah.
And we were asking, is there anybody here? And our equipment started lighting up. And I said, can you give us a sign that you can hear us? And something hit the cymbal. Crash in the corner.
Oh.
Everybody in there started screaming. I got trampled because they were trying to get out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it was hilarious. But yeah, that was very definite.
Oh, wow.
Another instance that we had, I'm up here a lot of times by myself during the day.
Uh-huh.
While I'm doing paperwork or whatever I need to do. And I was sitting in the office, and the first thing I heard was the toilet flush. I was like, okay, somebody's downstairs. Well, I locked the door. I don't know how that happened. So I waited. Then I heard the door open to the bathroom. And then I heard somebody coming up the stairs. And my office looks at the staircase from the side. So once they get to a certain point, you start seeing their head come up. Never saw a head. I was like, okay. So I sat there for a few minutes and I called out, is anybody here? I'm in the office. No answer. So I got up and went down and looked. Nothing. Okay. Maybe the toilet just flushed. So I go back and I sit down. A few minutes later, I hear steps walking around on the landing, which is right outside my door. So I'm thinking maybe somebody played a trick on me and ducked down and ducked around the corner and trying to scare me. So I'm sitting there and I wait, and I get real quiet and I wait. Nothing. So I get up and I go look, and there's nobody there. But then I noticed that the door to projection, which is a heavy metal door that I keep open, had closed. Quietly.
Oh.
Interesting. So I went and investigated. There was nothing there. Many times things like that happen. I'll hear things. Sometimes we'll catch a glimpse of somebody standing there and you turn around and they're gone.
Yeah.
We've gotten some EVPs, which is electronic voice phenomena, if you don't know what that is,
Yes.
on our recordings, and one of them in particular was asking about our president of the board. Where's Jeff? Well, Jeff is the president of the board here, and it turns out that a girlfriend in a long time ago had been in a play here and had died right after.
Oh, is it the girl that was in the car wreck?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, so that's what Richard was saying.
Yeah, but she was specifically asking, where's Jeff? And then she gave her name, and he went, oh, hi, I'm married. But yeah, we got all kinds of interesting things in there.
That's amazing.
When you're in there in the evenings, especially after everything's done, 10, 11 o'clock at night, it is not uncommon to hear voices coming from the auditorium. Sometimes it's as much as a crowd, like they're enjoying a show, but there's nothing on at that time.
That's amazing. That's so cool.
Here is a poster outside the Select Theater for an upcoming production that's going to be taking place in December, and you can see it is written and directed by Mr. George Jones. He is the gentleman that we just spoke with and gave us some of his haunted stories here.
Right. Now, if you want to look up some of this stuff, you can go to the Lake Country Playhouse. They have a website, and or the Historic Select Theater, one or the other, on Facebook too. Okay.
Strange RV tours will take you places with Greg and Janet's smiling faces. You might see a crazy flavored soda review or some tips to fix your RV too. So come along, won't you join us, friend, as we discover what's around the bend. Just sit right back in your easy chair. Strange RV Tours is on the air. Strange RV Tours is on